Good morning, and thank you for attending Police Headquarters. My name is Constable Carolyn DeClute, and I am here today to introduce Inspector Lauren Pogue of Hold Up. She will be providing an update on numerous cell phone store robberies. Inspector?
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending this media conference today. I'm here to speak to you about a recent conclusion of a 6-month project and investigation by the Toronto Hold-Up Squad, dubbed the Matrix Bandits. Over the last 4 months, beginning in December of 2018 and ending in May 1st, 2019, there was a rash of takeover-style robberies at 32 different cell phone stores across the Greater Toronto Area. The robberies occurred in Toronto, in York Region, the region of Peel, and Halton Region. The initial suspects were known to each other and communicated and recruited further males through the use of social media platforms, switching up their tactics, their clothing, and their jurisdiction of their robberies in an attempt to evade police. During each of these incidents, between 2 and 5 males would enter the cell phone store. They would control the employees and the patrons using weapons, verbal threats, and sometimes they restrained their victims with zip ties. The weapons utilized included knives, a gun, and a hammer. The employees were ordered to fill large gym bags with cellular smartphones, and the suspects then fled utilizing stolen vehicles. At least 2 of those vehicles were taken by carjacking of innocent victims, and we have now recovered 7 vehicles utilized by the suspects during the robberies that were stolen from Toronto, York, Barrie, and Halton Region. The Toronto Hold-Up Squad led this investigation, but it also involved, and we had a collaborative effort with York Police Robbery Squad, the Peel Police Central Robbery Unit, Halton Robbery Squad, and both 31 and 32 Division Major Crime Units of our Toronto Police Service. We worked very closely as well with our partners in the telecommunication corporate security, including James Armstrong, who is the Vice President and Chief Security Officer of Shaw Communications. Many of the 32 locations targeted were Freedom Mobile stores, and I can tell you that following these robberies, their team has implemented additional security technology and other measures in their stores to further combat crime and protect the security and the safety of their employees, their customers, and their business. As a result of this project, charges have been laid in 23 of the 32 robberies. 22 male suspects have been arrested, and those arrests occurred between January 12th and June 4th of this year. Those males collectively have been charged with 278 offenses, including robbery, disguised with intent, possession of a weapon, and vehicle theft. The accused are comprised of 11 adults ranging in age from 18 to 25 years of age, and 11 young offenders, many of which had had no previous contact with police. 9 of the 32 robberies are still active and under investigation by our hold-up squad, but I'd like to speak today about one of those robberies in particular that is violent and quite disturbing. There is a video playing today, and we do have photos of the suspects that are wanted. On Monday, February the 11th, 2019, at 8:15 p.m., 2 masked males entered a cellular phone store in the area of Allen Road and Lawrence Avenue West in the city of Toronto. The store employee was busy assisting an 83-year-old female victim and customer when one of the male suspects entered the store. The first suspect began striking the employee with an expandable baton as he backed away. The second suspect then entered and took physical control of that employee, dragging him back to forcing him to the back of the store and demanding cellular telephones. As the elderly customer tried to leave, the first suspect then began striking her on the lower part of her body numerous times, shoving her to the ground and then dragging her to the back of the store by her arm, continuing to assault her along the way. You can see this in the video that's playing right now. The employee's hands were then bound with zip ties, and the suspects continued to fill their gym bag with merchandise. And while this occurred, and while they were distracted, the elderly female customer was able to escape from the store. The Toronto Police Service Hold-Up Squad today is seeking the public's assistance in identifying these 2 male suspects wanted for both robbery and assault. They are both described as male black, mid-20s, between 5'10" and 6 foot tall. And one male is wearing a distinct puffy winter coat with a blue, white, and red horizontal stripe. The second male is wearing sort of a medium blue-colored puffy jacket. I'm truly hoping that after viewing this video, that someone from the community may help us solve this crime. If anyone has information that can help us, you can contact the Toronto Hold-Up Squad at 808-7350, or you can also report information anonymously at Crime Stoppers by calling in or online at 222-TIPS. I do have two of the investigators here today that can answer any questions from the media if they'd like regarding the Matrix investigation initially.
Do you have any questions about this investigation?
Is this robbery at all connected with the other ones where all those charges were laid?
No, this one is still outstanding.
Why the need for cell phones? What's going on where there's a big one for cell phones?
Well, the smartphones are extremely valuable right now, and there is a good market for these stolen stolen phones.
So they're selling them after they...
Yes, after they're stolen. So stealing in large quantities and then selling them after. And as I mentioned earlier, that our telecommunications partners have made significant changes to their stores to try to combat this.
The people in this video, are they resisting what's going on, or are these just too violent?
No, this is what's particularly concerning about this video is, for all accounts, this employee and his customer are complying with all the demands, and it's an unprovoked assault and entirely unnecessary.
Can you talk about just why you believe that this particular incident is related to the ones that you've made arrests on?
No, sorry, it is not related.
You don't believe it's the same group?
No, we don't believe it's the same group.
This is a completely different thing?
Yes.
Okay. Is there similarities in the level of violence that are used in this one and the ones that you've made arrests in?
I can comment or defer to the investigators for that.
Good morning. Morning. There are some similarities in the levels of violence, as you see with this one here. As I said, it's an active investigation, and it's still unfolding. So I can't comment really any further on that.
Can you tell us about sort of the MO of the ones that you've made arrests in? I know we've got some details, but were they...
Generally takeover style robberies where these suspects will enter the store, take control of the employees via force as well as via threats. They would complete the robbery and then flee the scene. However, this particular incident is at a different level of violence that we've seen prior.
There is one incident that I would comment on, that there have been charges laid. In one of those incidents, a hammer was actually used on one of the customers that was there, that was actually trying to leave the store as they were coming in to try and corral everyone to the back of the store. So that level of violence there, the victim did receive some injuries in that incident.
My understanding is the IMEI numbers and the ESN numbers of the phone are generally, once they're known to be stolen, or put on a do not activate list. Where are these phones being sold? Because my understanding is they would not be able to be activated by any Canadian carrier.
I wouldn't be prepared to comment on that at this point, based on the fact that the allegations of this particular case are currently before the courts, and we are currently investigating that particular avenue.
Is that because possible? I mean, is that the reason why they may have targeted that particular cell phone boutique, because they're not participating in that program?
That is a possibility.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how vulnerable these types of stores are and the security measures that tend to be in place? Are they becoming a target because of lack of security?
In our investigation through the last 6 months, it's definitely an area of concern. We actually, security measures were implemented into the Freedom Mobile stores where physical security was put in, and we believe that is actually curbing some of the violence that was used.
Can you talk a little bit more about the social media aspect of the cases that have been, where arrests have been made, the inspections of recruiting through social media, or something? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, we've learned through the course of our investigation that there were multiple groups of individuals that had some level of acquaintance, however, furthered their enterprise by the use of several different social media platforms in order to recruit new members to execute further robberies.
There's street gang involved in this at all?
I don't believe so.
Do you think that these bandits here that you're showing on the video are looking for soft targets? Is that part of the investigation with regards to who they target?
Yeah, absolutely. In some of these incidents, these stores were targeted more than once, and you know, we did see a trend in that, and they knew that where the phones were, and they were, and sometimes the safes were actually open, and they would easily access them.
Anything to suggest that current or former employees of the cell phone industry are involved?
Not at this point in the investigation, no.
How concerning is this for the employees that work in these stores with all this sort of valuable merchandise if they're not secured properly?
Absolutely concerning. You know, these employees were absolutely victimized and terrorized by these thugs, and you know, we're happy to bring some sort of closure, hopefully, to them.
And as Inspector Pogue referred to earlier, Freedom Mobile has made numerous changes to their security measures in order to keep their employees safe.
What's being done to help those employees now that have been victimized throughout this process?
That I'm not sure.
Sir, pardon me.
Were these all predominantly evening robberies? I know it's 7:32 in the video over here. Were these all late evening robberies, after dark type deal?
It actually varied. There were definitely, because a lot of Freedom Mobile locations close around 8 p.m., so they were targeted around the late, about half an hour prior to closing. But there were some in early afternoon as well. It was pretty much the whole span of the business day.
So what type of social media are they using?
Various different platforms. Again, like I said, this investigation is both current and before the courts, and I don't want to get into too much detail with regards to what platforms in particular were used.
Resisting, I was asking the inspector about if these victims in this video resisted this robbery, and clearly she said they didn't. What would your advice be, or suggestions to those who may find themselves being robbed? It's never a good idea to resist, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, if something happens like this and they're an employee in a store, then absolutely just give into their demands. It's not worth either, you know, dying or severely injuring yourself over.
I guess the best thing they could do then is just observe whatever they can and be the best witness they can be, just like.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then we'll come on during each incident, the employees at the Freedoms that were targeted were absolutely essential in this investigation.
The cars that were used to get away, were they carjacked before the robbery, or did they run out after the robbery and then carjack someone?
Prior. In some of the instances, there were an actual carjacking prior, and in some there were warm-up thefts, a drive-off theft, where a car was left running, and the suspects would jump in and drive away.
So did you say in this case, was there a car waiting, was that a stolen vehicle?
This particular case is under investigation. I'm not completely sure as to whether or not there was a car waiting or not.
Give us a picture, a gym bag full of smartphones. I don't know if it's a specific model they're after, iPhones or what it is, but it got to be tens of thousands of dollars worth of cell phones, right?
Absolutely. In most robberies, what was targeted was iPhones. There were some Samsungs as well, but they were getting a large amount of these phones packaged, individually packaged, and they were placing them in these duffel bags.
Could range anywhere from upwards of $80,000 to $100,000 worth of phones.
More productive than a bank robbery, except for the aspect of having to fence them, so.
Yes.
And how long were they in the stores? How long do these robberies take in terms of from when they started to when they were exiting?
I find over the course of our investigation, it's almost that this group was actually getting better at what they were doing, but no more between a minute to 2 minutes at the most.
Just to be clear, there are 9 still under investigation. Maybe that's for the inspector to answer. But this one, is that believed to be the same as the other 8? You've got 9 still under investigation. Right. And this one is separate from the other 8 as well as the other 23?
Yeah, we're still looking into any possibility of a connection between this one and the other 8.
Okay. And do you have any details on the other 8 that might, that might help us, like, put some information out there about those ones, or?
Sorry, at this time, at this time, it's just, we're still looking at all the avenues and investigating that, and at this point, I just attribute this particular one on video to this group of individuals.
So 23 believed solved. This one stands separate from that one, and then there are
Yes.
8 more as well.
Yes.
For robberies that we don't have any information on at this point.
It's not that we don't have information, they're still under investigation. Yes, exactly, yes.
Inspector, what are they using as weapons in this video here?
This particular weapon is an expandable baton. It's what we would call an ASP. It starts as a smaller compact weapon that is then extended, and it is made of metal. I think this, exactly, what we'd use, and the victim did sustain some significant bruising to her knees and lower extremities, and I believe it may have been far worse had she not been wearing a heavier winter coat. And she is struck a number of times, and there are defensive wounds on her forearms as well, while she tries to defend herself.
You find that's interesting that he's striking in the knee and upper part of the calf. That's what's trained in ASP tactics by police and security.
Yeah, I can't comment on that.
So where those stolen cell phones will be sold, and what the price would be?
As the investigators mentioned earlier, that part is still under investigation, so I don't want to discuss that today.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to add one more thing. There was a question earlier about the victims and what support is being offered. Obviously, the Toronto Police Service and a hold-up squad take victimization very seriously. Our investigators support the victims throughout the court process. And I know corporate security and our corporate security partners obviously take any assault and victimization of their employees very, very seriously as well. So there is ongoing support for these victims displayed today on video, and any of our victims that are the subject of robberies.
Are there any other participating police services outside of Toronto Police?
We did have, there were robberies that occurred in York, in Halton, and in the region of Peel. And while Hold Up Squad took the lead, we certainly worked collaboratively with our partners to solve these crimes.
Just get the detective names and spelling?
Yes, it's Detective Constable Brian McGee and Jason Content. Oh, you want to come up? Sure.
Yeah, just so we can see them saying spelling, so we can put names.
Detective Constable Brian McGee, B-R-Y-A-N, McGee, M-A-G-E-E.
Detective Constable Jason Contant, Jason Contant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes today's conference. Thank you for attending. We do have a news release that's now being released with all the names of the individuals on them and where they're from.